There is a wonderful moment in that Battle of Isandlwana where a young groom called John Williams, who was lucky enough to get out alive, wrote in a letter to his mother, saying, "Mother, I thought everything was under control, but something prevailed upon me to look up at the hills to the north of the camp. My blood ran cold as I beheld a spectacle that was more appalling than any I wish any soldier to ever behold. The hills to the north of the camp turned black with Zulus, as rank upon rank of Zulu warriors stepped out onto that escarpment, and as one they began to drum their feet into the ground and thump the assegai shaft into their shield. Then they'd pull their shield out to the left to give that illusion of their numbers having doubled. The Zulu commander on the day of this battle was 70 years of age. His name was Inchingwayo Gamakgolokoza, and when he could see that his men were ready to go, he lifted his battle axe in his right hand and he bellowed at them. He shouted, "Aisham, Aingan, Haba," to arms go in. And 25,000 Zulu warriors began to close on the camp. Because of the colour of the shield, you could recognize the regiments at a mile. The more white in the shield, the more senior the regiment. And from the left, I can tell you with confidence that we have the Utulwan, the Indlandla, the Idloko, and the Indlu Yengwe regiment. Then we have the Ututu, the Isangu, the Notwengu, the Undi, the Unonkank, the Umbob, the Mtlang, the Kanempemp, the Umqij, the Intlap, the Inkap, and then down in front of Durnford, the mighty Nkobama Kos and the Uwe regiments. And watching this in the confines of your comfortable home, I want you to imagine those Zulu warriors running into British rifle fire from the .45 caliber Martini Henry rifle. It's a skull splitter, a limb severer, and a bone smasher. To add to it, the artillery guns began to tear grisly swathes through the Zulu advance. Do you know that eventually an impasse was reached? The thin red line was holding, and the Zulu advance, in its tracks, it had been checked. And in the middle of the Zulu advance was a young regiment called the Umqijo, 30 to 33 years of age, dying to get into the thick of the fight, and being so smashed by British rifle fire that they were about to turn and withdraw. And had they withdrawn, they might have precipitated a mass withdrawal of Zulus as the middle of the line broke. But a remarkable event was about to unfold. Their old commander, a man called Mkosana Kamvundlwana of the Biela clan, stood up like a colossus behind his men. He strode through them to the front, turned his back on the British line, and bellowed at his young warriors. He shouted, "Yeninelapia! Ninga baleg! Ninga baleg! Silo, uhlahlana bulalumlil! Ungashanga njal!" You men, don't run, don't run. The king, the small branch that extinguishes the flames, that's one of King Quechwa's praise names. And what a subtlety. He gave us no such order. He'd hardly uttered that cry when half of his head was carried away by a British bullet, and he fell. But the rallying cry had been made and heard by his regiment and the regiments adjacent to it. And Zulus tell us in the face of this bravery, they would rise up like the water of the sea and fall on that thin red British firing line. And the point I want to make in all this is that Zulu warriors tell us with conviction that this was the turning point in the battle. And I would like to remind you that extraordinary outcomes often arise from the actions of single human beings.